Hi friends, today I'm going to be doing a collaboration video on being a teacher that was started by Brandon at Señor's Spanish Spot. I'm going to be covering the topic of setting up your classroom. We will be covering a wide range of topics. To find out what those are, see the description below and click the links to check them out. So when I got my classroom last year, it was absolutely completely empty and everything came inside of boxes, and we got to open those boxes and assemble everything, all of the shelves, all of the furniture, the tables, you name it. We put it together and organized that classroom from scratch. Now if you happen to go into a classroom where most likely all of the furniture is already assembled, you still have to keep a couple things in mind when you're getting ready to set it up and making it your own. The very first one is the obvious one. You really want to make sure that the quiet centers in the classroom are as far away from the loud centers, the noisier centers, as possible. This happens to be my new classroom. I went there this past Saturday, yesterday actually, to organize my classroom because the library was right next to the housekeeping drama play area center, which gets really, really loud. Also in this new classroom I have, they did not have any quiet corners where when, kids are having a tantrum or a meltdown, we really need a place where kids can just go to and calm down, and we need a quiet corner for them. So those are the two things that I wanted to make sure that I put in place into this classroom. But when you move one thing, there's that domino effect. You really have to move a lot of things around to make things work. So the first thing, as I said, you need to make sure that you're keeping the noise level in mind when you're moving the classroom and setting up your centers. The second thing you really want to think about is the amount of open space. If there is a lot of open space, which is another issue we have had in this classroom, if you have a lot of open space, it encourages the kids to run around. It encourages them to do flips and cartwheels and things you really don't want them to be doing. So when you're setting them up, you want to make sure that there's nice pathways to walk, to enter and exit out of the individual centers, but not necessarily any wide open big spaces. Aside from your circle time rug, all other areas should be as enclosed and cozy as much as possible. In my new classroom, I have this loft that I love. I love having a loft in the classroom. Although I've heard from the other teacher that, the kids don't know how to use it. They've tried to jump off of it. They throw pillows off of it, which I've witnessed that myself. But I think it all comes down to really training the kids and teaching them how to use all of the centers. So come Monday morning tomorrow, we're definitely going to start learning how to use and manipulate each center, since I finished setting up almost everything yesterday. So this was the art center that I had in my classroom last year. This is after all the furniture was assembled. This is the writing center, and I really like the writing center being set up here because we had a little chalkboard where the kids could practice writing with chalk. We had a dry erase board that the kids could use dry erase markers with, which also doubled as a magnet board with the magnet letters. So this was a really, really great writing center. And of course we put, obviously paper, pencil, stamps and things of that nature for the writing center to be as functional as possible. This is a setup that I had for the STEM. We called it the STEM area, which is more for math and science stuff. Here is the Zen zone, is what we called it, which is basically what I'm trying to achieve in my classroom this year, which is a calming down corner. And honestly, even though we put this Zen zone area, I don't remember kids really using this area at all. We had really, really good, well-behaved kids last year, so this was really not a used up space. Here is the library corner, which is definitely not cozy, and I really wanted to make this cozier. But this year in my classroom, it's definitely going to be cozy because I put the library inside the loft where they have an upstairs and downstairs, and it's really cozy and quiet back there right now. So like I said, when you're keeping in mind as far as where the library is set up, the library is far away from the housekeeping corner, which is going to be on the other side of the classroom. Next to it, I put the art center, which is, coloring, painting, drawing, and technically stuff that kids play with on the tables usually don't get as loud as the housekeeping corner. I think is the loudest parts, the loudest center in the classroom. Second loudest would be the block center, which I put next to the housekeeping corner. So trying to keep those two centers as far away as possible from the library area. Here is the block center that I just mentioned right here. And then next to the block center is our housekeeping, is what we used to call it, old school. Now we call it the drama corner or the pretend play area. Here's what the classroom looked like from the math and science corner. You can kind of see most of the classroom. This classroom was huge, so you can't really see the library from this angle. But if you can see, there's not that much open, empty space for the kids to do cartwheels and run around. Everything is pretty nicely sectioned off and just walking kind of spaces around furniture. And this is the angle looking from inside the classroom, from the front door towards the inside of the classroom. So once you have the classroom set up, you want to also do all of your labeling. And one thing that you need is your center signs. I like to take pictures of the centers itself and then print them out and laminate them. And I also like to use these red and green material that I stapled red on one side, green on the other. So if it's red, the kids know, okay, red means stop, the center is closed, we're not going to go in. And green means go, yes, the center is open and you can play in there. And the number of dots represent how many kids can play in each center at one given point. This is great in the beginning of the year. You don't really need it so much towards the end of the year because by then, kids really know how to play in all of the centers, so you can just keep all of your centers open all the time. Another thing to keep in mind is, decide where you want to display your classroom jobs. It's ideal if you can put it in a place where you can see it as a whole group, possibly from your circle time area. I also like to have an attendance board. I like to take their picture, of course, the first day of school and then write their name under their picture. And this is a great way for them to see their names. It helps build that name recognition for the students. Kids put their pictures next to underneath the school sign if they're at school when they come in the morning, and before they go home, they take their pictures and put it onto the side where it says home. That shows that they're leaving and that they're at home. And this is also a great way to just take a quick visual check on who is here and who is absent for the day. And another thing you want to keep in mind is after you have your whole classroom set up and it's sectioned off, things that you put inside your shelves are really important, especially the first couple of weeks. You want to be as minimal as possible. You want to put stuff in there that require the least amount of guidance from the teacher. So the activities should be as independent as possible. And the last thing about classroom setup is to keep in mind of the different ways you can set up and change each center so the kids have something new to explore. You can change your drama corner, for example, from your regular house play area to a bus stop. You can change it to, a camping ground. You can add things like, for example, we read the story, Not a Box. A box can be many things. And then you put a box in the arts center and let the kids decide what they want to do with it. In our classroom, they painted it and got inside of it and used it for pretend play, which is awesome. So as a conclusion, when you're setting up your classroom, think about your loud and quiet areas and keep them as far apart as possible. The second thing is check for open spaces. You don't want to have big, large open spaces that encourage running. And last but not least, think about the items that you put inside your shelves. Try to make it as decluttered, as simple as possible so that you have activities that the kids can independently manipulate without your help. I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to watch more collaboration videos on being a teacher, check out the description box to find those links. Till next time, happy teaching!